So I want to talk about a certain Sonic prototype that's always fascinated me more than others, likely due to my own history with it and how long ago I found it. You see, as a little kid back in the old dial-up internet days, this would have been probably 1998 I want to say, I started discovering emulation and ROM sites and all that cool stuff. And there was this one weird ROM going around that seemed to be a leaked prototype of sorts, and it was called Sonic Crackers. And yeah, that's a weird name, and when I hear that I think of like Sonic running around with a box of Ritz or something, but no. There are no Ritz or physical crackers of any sort in this game. The common conception about this in the Sonic community is that it's a mistranslation of the word clackers, like those kind of annoying toys that bounce off of each other. And given the concept of this game, that explanation makes a lot more sense. Anyone who's privy to Sonic would probably be able to tell that, yeah, this is likely an early prototype of what would later become Knuckles Chaotix, but there's a lot different here, so it's still really interesting to see. This prototype is very small and does not have much to it, so I was kind of going back and forth on whether I should actually make a whole video about this or not, but this prototype has so much intrigue to me that I decided to go ahead and do it anyway. So Sonic Crackers is a demo on the Genesis where you control Sonic with tails attached to you as you're both holding rings that have this kind of sparkly energy band kind of thing connecting you together. You can definitely tell this is a pretty early prototype because the controls are super janky. The initial level has you traversing up this tech tower kind of place, with lots of curved walls like you typically see in Sonic. There are no items anywhere, no enemies, and no rings to collect, but Sonic can sure as hell lose them if he hits the spikes. But yeah, not really too much to say because there's not really too much to do in this demo. And to be honest, I just think it's more interesting than it is actually fun to play. But one cool thing is that if you pause the game, then you can move around freely on the pause screen, and that's pretty handy. When you get to the very top of the level, then Sonic's graphics get all glitched out, and it plays the game over music from the first two Sonic games. And then after that, it takes you to this top-down overworld kind of area, and this is really interesting. Knuckles Chaotix had nothing like this, so I'm really curious where they were going to go with this. Maybe this game was going to have overworlds to explore to go between the levels and find cool things around and stuff. Kind of like what we would eventually get in Sonic Adventure with stuff like Station Square and Mystic Ruins. I can just imagine it now, like, oh, there's a level over here. And then, ooh, cool secrets over here, very nice. The second level available in the Sonic Crackers demo is this kind of Sky Carnival type place. I don't know, it looks cool though. But yeah, this is even more jank than the first level. Loops often don't work and you'll be falling through the floor all the time and just... And the physics. I know Sonic fans tend to give Sonic 4 a lot of crap for its bad physics, but it's kind of on another level here in Sonic Crackers. And just like with the first level, there's nothing to collect, no enemies, not much to really do except run around. For whatever reason though, this level limits you to 1 minute, and after it hits 1 minute, it just stops, plays the game over music, and sends you to another overworld area. And again, there's not really much you can do here, just kind of walk around. But this one looks really cool. I really dig the green and purple color scheme it's got going on here, and I just can't help wonder what this could have been like as a fully realized overworld area to explore. This kind of gives me Sonic SatAM Robotnik's Lair vibes, which I'm sure is not intentional because this was being made in Japan, and the Japanese developers didn't want to seem to have anything to do with the American Sonic stuff at the time. Just more of an observation. And the only other levels in this Sonic Crackers demo are just different variations of that first level with different color palettes. Nothing too exciting, unfortunately, but it's cool to see, and the teal and pink look really cool together, I think. As for the music, the songs you'll hear in this game are all different variations of the same melody, kind of like what Super Mario World does with its soundtrack, and these songs would, for the most part, make their way into Knuckles Chaotix. But there is one interesting exception. One of the songs in Sonic Crackers was reworked to be a completely different level theme in Knuckles Chaotix. I guess they thought that one would work better as a level theme, instead of just another map screen song like the rest of the songs that made it into Knuckles Chaotix from Crackers. Sonic Crackers has a very simplistic title screen with very simplistic menus, which makes sense, because yeah, obviously this is like a prototype that does not need fancy presentation, so I get why they didn't spend too much time on the user interface here. Anyway, if this date at the bottom right of the title screen is to be believed, then that means this prototype was produced April 1st, 1994, on April Fool's Day. Does that mean that this game is just a joke? Probably not, probably just a coincidence, but still funny. And according to these menus, this game was going to have 7 worlds, as well as something called premium worlds, and special stages. I have no idea what these premium worlds were gonna be, whether there's gonna be something that was gonna connect to these overworlds or what, but it's another thing that I wonder about. Or it could have just been like bonus stages alongside the self-explanatory special stages that the game was obviously gonna have. Knuckles Chaotix in the end didn't even have 7 worlds, it had less than that, so I guess they set the bar too high from the beginning. Selecting anything past World 2 will just make the game crash, so there's not any more to show off, unfortunately. And now I think I've covered legitimately everything there is in this prototype. If you've watched this video through, then you have now seen all of Sonic Crackers, Sonic Clackers, Sonic Hat Stackers, whatever you want to call this game. Yeah, I know there's not much to it, but I'll say again, I found this when I was a little kid, and I found it so fascinating. And although we did get the realized finished game that this turned into in the way of Knuckles Chaotix, I still can't help but wonder, what if? What if this game was released as a Genesis game instead of switching over to the 32X? And what if Sonic and Tails stayed as the main protagonists, instead of a brand new cast of random characters led by Knuckles? Would the levels have been completely different? Would Metal Sonic still have been one of the main villains here? Would the world never have gotten Espio the Chameleon? Now these are the questions that keep me up at night. It's just also interesting to me because, like, we've gotten a lot of leaked Sonic prototypes before, but not really a lot in this kind of way, where it's like the concept of a finalized game but completely different characters and levels. The mystique around this prototype is definitely way more interesting than the game itself, which is why I wanted to talk about it. I know this video is on the shorter end, but I managed to talk about the Sonic Crackers prototype significantly longer than the playtime of the prototype itself, so I consider that an accomplishment. Anyway, share your thoughts, let me know what you think. Are you someone else who was also fascinated by this weird prototype when you saw it? Or is this your first time seeing this and you're like, this is weird, what the hell is this? I'm always interested in what people have to say, so leave a comment down below about Sonic Crackers, or any feedback in general. I always like feedback. Thank you for watching, you are all awesome, and I hope you have a hat stacking good day.